Gonna need about 10 of these for today. Good morning. We got some things to handle today, but I need coffee first, so we're gonna do that. Where's my cup? The dog just shat themselves. Alright. New camera. Here's today's agenda. We're going to set the timing pointer for the engine on the Silverado. That's a piston stop. And install the transmission dipstick and set it correctly for correct level. I'm going to mark it and double check it. I'll explain that later. It's 7 a.m. Sun's just coming up. Safe light's here, putting my windshield in my truck, so I gotta wait for that to be done. And then I gotta put the lights back on the truck because I had to take them off so he could get the windshield out. New video looks pretty crisp. Mimi. Good girl. Yeah. Oh boy, where to start? Today did not go how I was expecting it. Nothing worked out right, and I'm bumming. I'm gonna work on the truck, and that always makes me happy, so just all sorts of crap. I'm gonna complain for a minute, because it sucked. Safe Light showed up this morning to fix the windshield in my truck for the second time. It cracked, which was not their fault. They put a new one in. The trim around it was all messed up. They didn't install it correctly, and it got folded under the windshield and looked terrible, so I had them come fix it. So they come back and fix it. Starts raining on the guy, gets rushed. The cowl doesn't get installed right. Something else in there is not right because I'm getting a bunch of road noise inside the cab now, which was not normal before. So that's another day. I gotta take the wipers off and look through the cowl and see what was going on because something's off. Good news is, and hopefully you notice, the audio quality and the video should be way better because I bought a new camera to not replace my other one, but use this for vlogging because the other one just wasn't really made for that. It was a DSLR, but it wasn't mirrorless, and so the autofocus was super loud, and it was never in focus at the right time, and the quality was just the audio quality was not that great either. So hopefully this is a lot better. Weird intro to start a video, but I realized that I had not filmed anything about this truck other than the couple times I'd mentioned it in other videos, and this is kind of like my main focus right now. So I'm going to introduce you to Project Kratos, is what I named it, because I'm a nerd, and I like God of War, and I just thought it was a cool name, so hopefully I take this thing to war. It's going to be my drag and drive truck. I want to do drag and drive events. They interest me. I think it's really neat being able to drive a vehicle cross country and then race it and drive it back. And for the at-home DIY guy, that's a huge deal because not all of us have trailers and other big trucks to haul their project stuff around, so some of us have to drive it to the track and be able to drive it home at the end of the night. So that's what this thing is. This is supposed to be my idea of a street truck that can be used competitively that's still a street truck. So here we are, 2001 Silverado. It was originally a V6. It's got 256,000 miles on it. It was some guy's daily driver to and from work, so it's actually not that destroyed. I destroyed it after I started gutting it, and the cab I haven't touched other than I put a bunch of stickers on the roof because the headliner was sagging, and I was just like, ah, screw it. So I ripped the headliner out of it, I probably won't put a headliner back in it, but I am going to clean this up and put the light back up so it looks nice in here. Seats are probably going to go at some point for something cooler, but I don't know what yet. Put a radio in it at one point because I was daily driving it until the heater core exploded. So that's another project. I got to pull the dash out of this, which anyone that's done that knows how bad it sucks. Anyways, yeah, so I guess I'll show you the goods now. So this thing, like I said, was a V6. Single cab short bed, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. And now it's a single turbo V8. So, woohoo. This started out as a stock the engine started out as a stock 5.3 with I don't even know how many miles. It was a junkyard pullout. I disassembled the entire thing, pulled every bit of it out, took it apart in this garage. I don't have any footage of it because at the time I wasn't filming and I didn't really care to. And ended up getting forged rods, forged pistons, and a forged crank, and it was bored 20 thousandths over, so it's not like some crazy overboard. I'm using 241 LS1 heads, stock porting. The only valve train stuff is it's got dual cam motion springs and titanium retainers, and I have the BTR shaft rocker kit with their forged rockers. What else? Holley high ram, Motion Raceworks, ton of Motion Raceworks stuff. Their throttle body, valve covers, coil brackets, their breather, which I just installed the other day. Ran all the lines for that. Just put new motor mounts in it the other day. These are Zona Motorsports. I made a video about that. The turbo kit is a Huron Speed. I have the full kit. I just, obviously, the front end of the truck's off, so it's not on there. Huron Speed with a Precision 7675 LS Series turbo, so it's the cast version with the journal bearing, not a ball bearing. I had the hot side ceramic coated from top to bottom to try and mitigate some heat. And then the transmission is a 4L80 built by Jake's Performance. It's got their D3 trans brake in it. It's the stage 2, so it's I think it's rated for 700 torque. I'm going to lean on it pretty hard and hopefully not break it. And then it's got a 3500 stall Circle D triple disc lockup converter in it. Other than that, just a lot of elbow grease. All this, I'll add some photos, all this was rusted out and nasty and had a bunch of surface rust. I cleaned the frame all up, POR 15'd it, and then put a top coat on it so it didn't fade and get crappy in the sun. And what else? What am I forgetting? I've got a True Track for the rear end. I have not touched the rear end at all. I've got a buddy that's going to help me with that, which I'll probably film because he's done a bunch of them. Don't have wheels for it yet. Don't have suspension for it yet. That's all coming as I figure out how to pay for it. Yeah, and it's keeping all the amenities. I'm keeping power steering, I'm keeping AC, I want to be able to drive it. I live in Texas, it's 800 million degrees in the middle of July, so I'm not driving this around without AC. So it should be, like I said, the best of both worlds. I want it to make around 700 wheel, kind of just cruising. I think it will make more than that. I think it'll make close to 900, maybe. That's a T4 turbo, so it's definitely not the biggest thing that ever gets run on these motors. But that's kind of my idea, is to have just a cruiser with 700 horsepower and AC. And it's a drag and drive truck, so instead of pulling a trailer, just carry your spares and everything else in the bed, which is where I have all of the front end parts right now. So yeah, that's the idea. It's pretty clean. It's got, you know, some love dents, but it's not terrible. All the interiors here, I have it all. So Cool. Well, that's the introduction to the main project. You guys really like the motorcycle stuff, so maybe on the next one I'll show some more of the bikes. That video did really good. I got like 200 views and I picked up a couple subscribers from it, so woohoo! It's exciting. We're going to put transmission engine dipstick in, mount it, and we're also going to set up my timing pointer on the front. So, alright, so first step, take all your plugs out. So this thing rolls over real easy. And so you can install your piston stop. And the purpose of doing all this, if you have a timing pointer, is so that you can verify that the engine is truly at TDC, and you lock in your timing during your tuning. So that way when you're making all of your timing adjustments, the signal that the cam and crank sensor are reading are accurate. And that way you're not 2 to 3 degrees off for whatever reason, and you're adding more timing or taking away more timing than you think. So. Okay, all the plugs are out. Try not to drop them on the ground, because then you have to end up re-gapping them, which sucks. Not a big deal. We'll fix that one. Yeah, that side really sucks with the turbo on. Next part you need is kind of a specialty tool. It's called a piston stop. It's threaded the same as a spark plug, except it's got a center bolt that you can turn also, that you can thread in. You're going to put it in number 1, run it down, and then I'll get back to you when I'm there. Okay, so got the piston stop in. I've turned the threaded portion in pretty far. First step, you're going to roll clockwise, the engine direction, until 1 comes up and touches that. You don't want to smash it, just enough, feel it stop, and then record the number on the timing pointer. You put that number in an equation, along with a few other things, and that tells you exactly where TDC is. Okay, just stopped. I just hit the stop. We're at 17 degrees. Yeah, 17 degrees. All right. I'll write that down. Now you're going to go the reverse direction until you hit the stop again. Okay, just hit the stop again. I'm at 350. No. Yeah, 350. Okay. Okay, then I'll show you the math on how to do this. Okay, so I made a small error, but in my case it didn't matter. Some of you might be different depending on your setup. You're supposed to take the 2 rockers loose on number 1, because as you roll the engine over, if the piston stop, depending on what tool you have and your valve train setup, sometimes the valve can open and hit the piston stop and make you think that you're at TDC or not. That didn't happen to me. I just I pulled the centerpiece out of the piston stop and looked through the cylinder with a little light to make sure the valve wasn't hitting anything. And I could see a little mark on the piston. So I know mine was actually touching the piston. So the math that you take, so you get your first number, which for us was 17. We rolled one way to the stop. Then we rolled backwards to the stop, which was 350. You add those two together, subtract it from 360, and then divide the total by 2. So for us, that gives us 3.5. If it's positive, that means it's 3.5 to the right. If it's negative, that means it's 3.5 to the left. So ours is positive. So we, instead of setting it over in the 300s, we set it at 3.5. And then all you do once you do that, set your pointer to TDC, you 0 it, and then it should be, so right now the engine should be at top dead center, basically. And then you set your pointer to 0, so every time you come back to that same spot. So I'm going to reset the pointer now and then double check everything. Okay, so we're going to idiot check ourselves here. Roll it around. My balancer's marked, so this kind of makes it a little easier. If you're using a stock balancer, you're going to have to mark TDC with a pen. Alright. Come around. Ooh, I went past it. It's really hard to do one-handed. So, see, about right there, and then take our light, look in the hole, and see in there? Yeah, there's the piston, right at the top. You can see a little mark I made with my piston stop. So, that should be it. That pretty much sums it up for that. Probably do the dipstick tomorrow. I think I'm running out of daylight. But anyways, catch you on the next one. There's car meat tonight. I don't know if it's for motorcycles, but I'm gonna wash mine or wipe it down. Waterless wash. And maybe I'll run up there. Maybe I'll film it too. Not sure yet. We'll see. Sun's setting. It's 60 out. Pretty nice day for middle of January. Anyways, let's see what happens.